Hello guys, I welcome all of you to today's Farmcast, and it has been quite a long time since we had a Farmcast, guys, isn't it? So guys, as you know, I was busy with your live sessions, etc. Right? So I was not able to do this Farmcast, but since tomorrow is a very important day for you guys, so I thought I will do at least one Farmcast. So guys, in today's Farmcast, I will talk about the antimicrobial drugs side effects. Yes, all the antimicrobial drugs, antibiotics, antifungals, antivirals, antitubercular, etc. So we'll try to compile all the side effects in this one Farmcast, and we'll talk about a little bit about your INI-CET exam as well, right? So let us begin with your antimicrobial drug side effect, guys. To begin with, we'll begin from the top. Nervous system, seizure. So guys, seizure as a side effect, it is usually seen with imipenem. From the antibiotic section, guys, imipenem causes seizure. It has been asked in your exams. Second class of antibiotics which can cause seizure, these are fluoroquinolones. Now, which fluoroquinolones do not cause seizure or have least chances of seizure? These are your respiratory quinolones like gemifloxacin, gedifloxacin, levofloxacin, and moxifloxacin, right? And third one, antiviral drug acyclovir can cause seizure, and anti-tubercular drug cycloserine can cause seizure. So seizure, imipenem, fluoroquinolone, acyclovir, cycloserine. Right. Let us come down little bit. And eye, ocular toxicity. Guys, retinopathy, bull's eye retinopathy is caused by chloroquine, and red-green color blindness is caused by ethambutol. So that part we know. That's an easy one, right? Now coming to ototoxicity, guys. Ototoxicity can be auditory or vestibular, and auditory toxicity is maximum seen with minoglycosides like kanamycin, amikacin, neomycin, that is minoglycosides. Whereas vestibular toxicity, it is maximum seen with streptomycin and one tetracycline, that is minocycline, right? Vancomycin can also cause ototoxicity, both auditory and vestibular, but it is never asked. Your MCQs are usually regarding aminoglycosides or minocycline, right? Now, guys, let us come down to your thoracic cavity. Let us have a look at cardiac side effects. And one of the important cardiac side effects of antibiotics is QT prolongation. And so they carry the risk of torsades, right? So one of them is the macrolides, and maximum risk in macrolides is seen with erythromycin. Fluoroquinolones, guys, they cause QT prolongation, and maximum risk it is seen with sparfloxacin, and that is the reason why it was banned. Anti-malarial drug quinine can cause QT prolongation, guys, because it blocks potassium channels. And the recent drugs of tuberculosis like bedaquiline, delamanid can also cause QT prolongation. So QT prolongation, guys, erythromycin, fluoroquinolones, quinine, and bedaquiline, delamanid, right? Now let us come down to your abdominal cavity, guys. Hepatotoxicity. There are a lot of drugs which are hepatotoxic, right? Like penicillin, only one penicillin that is hepatotoxic is oxacillin. Erythromycin is hepatotoxic. To be specific, it causes cholestatic jaundice, and that is with acetolate salt, erythromycin acetolate. Tetracycline is hepatotoxic. Anti-tubercular drugs, most hepatotoxic is pyrazinamide, followed by drug like isoniazid and rifampicin. Azoles are hepatotoxic like fluconazole, itraconazole. Terbinafine is hepatotoxic. Zidovudine is hepatotoxic. Nevirapine can cause fatal hepatic necrosis. Raltegravir, dolutegravir, these both drugs are hepatotoxic as well. Protease inhibitors are hepatotoxic, and albendazole is also hepatotoxic. So guys, I have enumerated the antibiotics, antiviral, antitubercular, antihelminthic, all of those drugs that can be hepatotoxic, right? The hepatotoxicity is less commonly asked in your exam. More what is asked is nephrotoxicity. We'll discuss that in a bit. Now in abdominal cavity, now let's move on to pseudomembranous enterocolitis. Guys, pseudomembranous enterocolitis is a side effect that is seen due to long-term use of antibiotics. And the most common cause nowadays are third generation cephalosporins, followed by aminopenicillins like amoxi and MP. These two are the most common cause. Now you would wonder why these are the most common cause. The reason is very simple, guys, because they are the most commonly used antibiotic in today's world, right? and that is followed by a distant third, which is fluoroquinolone, followed by clindamycin. Right, so these are most common cause of pseudomembranous enterocolitis. Your options, your answer would be either a third generation cephalosporin or an aminopenicillin. Now moving on to nephrotoxicity. Minoglycosides are very potent nephrotoxic drugs, guys. Minoglycoside, which is least nephrotoxic, is streptomycin, and most is neomycin. Remember, nephrotoxicity with minoglycosides is reversible, right? Tetracyclines can also cause nephrotoxicity in the form of Fanconi syndrome, right? And that is usually seen with outdated or expired tetracycline. Colistin is a nephrotoxic drug. That is the reason why colistin should never be combined with an aminoglycoside, right? Amphotericin B is hell of a nephrotoxic drug, guys, and you know that amphotericin B, to decrease nephrotoxicity, we preload the patient on normal saline. That is one thing we do. Second, we use liposomal amphotericin B, right? Sulfonamides and acyclovir both are nephrotoxic. How they produce nephrotoxicity, guys? Sulfonamides, acyclovir, both these drugs, they can form crystals, and these crystals can get deposited and can cause renal failure. They can cause stones. Tenofovir is also a nephrotoxic drug, anti-HIV drug, right? Now, guys, moving on to your limbs. Peripheral neuropathy, guys. Peripheral neuropathy is a side effect that is seen with isoniazid because it decreases GABA. Zerovodine can cause peripheral neuropathy. Dapsone can cause peripheral neuropathy, and fluoroquinolones. So 4 drugs you need to remember: isoniazid, zerovodine, dapsone, and fluoroquinolones. Neuromuscular toxicity. Now this one is very commonly asked, guys. Neuromuscular toxicity or neuromuscular block is caused by minoglycosides, clindamycin, and colistin. 3 important drugs: minoglycoside, clindamycin, colistin. So this is neuromuscular toxicity. That is toxicity at the level of neuromuscular junction. But myopathy is a side effect is caused by daptomycin, zidovudine, and raltegravir. In other words, these 3 drugs can cause rhabdomyolysis, right? Daptomycin, zidovudine, and raltegravir. The last one we'll discuss here, guys, is bone marrow suppression. It is seen with zidovudine, linezolid, chloramphenicol, flucytosine, and albendazole. Right, zidovudine is the most commonly asked here among these drugs which cause bone marrow suppression. So, guys, this was my aim here before your INI-CET. With the help of this Pharmcast, make you revise the broader aspect of toxicity of antibiotics, and usually it has been seen that you get at least one question from toxicity of antibiotics. The reason being, you know, antibiotics are day-to-day drugs. They're used every day, right? So you'll deal with toxicity of antibiotics. Now, guys, tomorrow is your INI-CET exam, and my good wishes, as always, is with all of you guys. And I wish all of you who would have worked hard, you get your rank of choice and branch of choice in INI-CET, right? So those who have studied well, they know it. Now, for those who have not prepared well, or they have let down their guards during this time of lockdown, and when everything was uncertain when the exam is gonna be, so it's quite possible, and it is quite human that you might have lowered your guard, and now you might think that you could have used that time properly so that you could have a good chance at INI-CET, right? But do not fret over it, guys. Whatever done is done, right? We cannot change it. But certainly now what you can do is, don't skip the exam. Please go to the exam and take it as a, you know, as a net practice for your NEET PG exam, which is going to happen in September. So even if you have not studied well, go through this exam, and what is better way to officially, right, give a grand test. So take it as a official grand test for your NEET PG exam. And guys, you never know, miracles do happen sometimes in your exams. And specifically if you want a pre or paraclinical subject, now that the number of seats, they've increased a lot in the central institutes, and there is one exam. So which means what is, I mean, you never know, you might get a pre-paraclinical as well. And at last what would happen is you would end up giving an exam, real life exam. If you have not appeared for any exam, then it is more so over the reason you should go and appear for it, guys. And believe me, guys, if you honestly prepare for an exam, right, you'll always get at least something from that exam, at least some seat, right? If not AIMS, then in AIPG, some MD or MS seat. If not MD, MS seat, then at least you'll get a DNB seat. If not DNB, at least you'll get a diploma. At least you'll get something, right? If your preparation is honest, guys. So guys, go out there and have fun tomorrow, guys. And when you come back from the exam, we would probably discuss how the exam was, how the questions were asked, and just do not forget, tomorrow is just another day, guys, right? So guys, take care. Bye bye. This is Dr. Ranjan with you.